get much further with training an animal by giving it love. Animals, when they feel love, they'll do a lot for you.
Hello, sweet viewers, and welcome to Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living, here on Supreme Master Television. Today, we're going to take a journey to Canada to visit the Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary, a non-profit organization located about an hour from Toronto.
We have a very good group of team members who work diligently here with trying to make these guys' lives, important and special and happy lives for them.
Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary provides a safe and everlasting vegan home for rescued primates who would otherwise be euthanized or endure lives of suffering. They come from places like biomedical research laboratories, zoos, and even private residences. Storybook's 130 acres is also home to other beautiful animals.
So, Tucker is an old racehorse. And after he was finished racing, he went to a riding school, and he was used as a riding school horse until they retired him from that. These guys are all in their 20s, in their mid to late 20s. Right. They're old men. So we don't ride them here. They just get to survive. And this is Minnie Mouse. And she was born next door at the neighbors, but they had two, and so they offered her to us, and so she came here. And then this is Mr. Stubbs. And none of them are groomed here for their appearance on camera, but that's okay. So we'll just get them. Right, Samantha? You're a good girl, aren't you? Yeah.
Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary was lovingly founded by Sherry Delaney and is owned by her and her husband, Leonard White. Their every day is spent with the animals. They know each of their personalities and stories and understand their needs. Supreme Master Television visited Storybook on a chilly autumn afternoon. Sherry explained the living arrangements for the primates, who have both indoor and outdoor homes here, depending on the weather. As most of them are not used to Canada's cold seasons, they had retreated to the heated indoors.
We have to work harder to keep them emotionally and psychologically healthy, because when you're in the summertime and outdoors, you have the wind, you have the sun, you have the rain, you have all kinds of things that that they can enjoy. When they're in their indoor areas, you have to work harder to keep them, their psychological well-being enriched, because really, unfortunately, the sad reality of this is these guys are in captivity, and captivity means a cage. We can't change that. If we could change that, we would change that, but we can't change that. If you were to release these guys into the wild, most of these guys would die. So we have to work very hard, given their reality, and make sure that we make their life the best life that we can.
Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary came to be through Sherry's belief that one person can indeed make a difference. She was determined to do something after learning about the sad destiny of animals in testing labs and the exotic animal trade. A police officer by profession, Sherry devoted her hours after work in starting the sanctuary. It has now evolved to become a home for 21 primates and other animals, including goats, llamas, horses, and donkeys. Storybook's team members have 65 years of combined experience with primates.
That's what we try and do, make it better, one being at a time, right? So herding in Canada comes in many different forms by many different species, human included, and we're just trying to make it better for a few at a time.
The first animals to arrive at Storybook were two elderly Japanese macaques named Keiko and Yoshi. Though they have since passed away, Sherry carries the fond memory of having transformed their lives for the better, especially Yoshi's.
He had become just a lovely old gentleman. We had to go in and feed him a couple times a day. He'd lost all of his teeth and he'd lost his eyesight. He had a couple heat lamps and he would sit by his heat lamps, and when you'd open up the barn door he'd hoot at you because he knew he was getting his dinner. And we did a lot of applesauce and garlic mashed potatoes, and we would spoon feed him, and he'd get his Boost drink in a sippy cup, and that was his life. And you know what, we did right by him, and he died a happy guy. And I guess that's the moral of this story, or what we're trying to do here is give them you know a life, one based far beyond just a barren cage, and give them some happiness. We're all entitled to some of that. And you know, if you can do that at the end of the day, then you're doing something.
No, it's a major undertaking financially. How do you manage it?
We do the best that we can. My paycheck goes into this. Leonard's paycheck goes into this. Any donations that come in go into this. We're still in the process, and it seems like it's been a long process of getting our charitable status up and running. We're moving towards that.
Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary believes that all animals have feelings and emotions, and the right to live free from fear and pain, much like we do. Primates have a lifespan of up to 40-something years, which is a long commitment that many people are not prepared for when bringing them home as companion animals. As a result of neglect, many animals resort to self-mutilation. Because many of the primates at Storybook do not have the survival skills for the wild, Sherry and the team are devoted to enrichment programs to enhance their lives at the sanctuary.
We have a team of approximately 30 members, you know, that all work very hard to give these guys, you know, a good life. We have one of our girls who will spend hours blowing bubbles for them and you know, giving them things to look at, and you know, others will go and make enrichment boxes where, you know, you've got shredded paper in there and you've got little wrap presents and things like that, so they have to work at getting some of these things out. And that's how you're going to pass the day for them. That's how you're going to make, that's the difference between, you know, being in a cage and being in a home, is you've got to go that extra mile for them. And that's what we try and do.
When we return, we will meet some of the unique residents at Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary and learn what's with all the background chatter. You are watching Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living on Supreme Master Television.
What's the idea behind the name, Storybook?
Happy ending. It's a happy ending, right? There's that old saying of stop and smell the roses. Well, stop and listen to the animals too, because they will tell you.
Welcome back to Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living, here on Supreme Master Television. We are here today at the Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary. Now, let's meet the sanctuary centurion.
George, you're way too talkative here.
Anne, I think he wants to be heard, so.
George,
What do you
now
say?
if you pucker at him, he's trying to figure out whether you're friend or foe.
Hi there.
So if you pucker at him when he puckers at you, that you're answering his question correctly. So George is our most vocal, as you can tell. And he always likes to know what's going on in the barn. He's, trying to figure out who you are and what you're doing in his home. So because you're the visitor here, you actually answered that question correctly, and he's happy with that now. So, all is good. He was just getting vocal because he needed to know what the heck. So.
Next, we'll meet a lovely Hamadryas baboon gal named Chelsea, who was rescued to Storybook from a roadside zoo.
Yes, you're showing your boot. Oh, you love your boots. Love your boots. Hey? What are you doing? You gonna move? You gonna move? Hey, you gonna move? Hey? Hey? Chelsea's a good girl. Chelsea's a very good girl, aren't you? I know, it's another shoe. Wow. You got all kinds of shoes, eh, Chelsea? Chelsea has a fetish. She likes boots and shoes, which is why you see boots and shoes all over her area. Chelsea also likes to watch television. There is a television, I think a news anchor. I think it's Hepshner or Mark Hepner or Hepshner.
Sports.
Is he sports? Okay, that is her boyfriend. She absolutely loves him, but I can tell you she dislikes Spock in Star Trek. She will scream at the TV. She hates that. Don't you, Chels? Hey, don't you? Hey? You're a good girl. Where's your shoe? Where's your shoe? Hey? Hey, where's your shoe?
Actually show human emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's the matter? Hey? What's the matter? Are you unsure about that thing, are you? You unsure? Hey? So she was just asking for a little reassurance, like, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Chico, the capuchin, is the sanctuary's newest resident, who came after his greenhouse home was closed. His cheeky capuchin neighbor is Pockets.
Now, you'll know Pocket's mood because of his tail. So if he's going to try and he'd like to grab that mic with his tail too. But Pocket's actually had a good life, and he had someone who cared very much about him. He was treated very well, but she started to have some issues, some health issues, and that, and so she didn't want him to be put euthanized if she went into the hospital. So she researched us, and she came down here with him. She flew him on the plane along with herself, and she stayed here for a few days. Pockets is a bit of a character. Pockets likes to throw the ball. He likes to play ball. So he's got some human traits that they might not necessarily have otherwise, but he has learned that that throwing a ball is fun. He sleeps in a blanket, so that's another human imposed trait, but he likes it now. So I do his laundry once a week. He gets a fresh blanket once a week, and that's him. He doesn't like sticky things on his hands. He likes to wipe his hands off if he's got sticky things on his hands. He will offer you a ball and see if you'll come closer, and if you get too close, he'll try and grab you and pinch you. Yeah. And then he'll think that that's pretty funny because it's 1 for the monkey and 0 for the human.
You mentioned that they tell you what they want. Do you work with an animal communicator, or do you figure that out yourself?
If you listen and watch honestly, they will tell you what they need. They will tell you what they want. They will tell you what they like and what they don't like. So, you just have to be open to that. You just got to spend the time, right? They will all communicate with us.
Visit StorybookFarmPrimateSanctuary.com. to learn more about the happy beginnings and happenings at Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary. We'll come back next week, November 30th, for another visit to Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary to join our delightful new animal friends for a vegan dinner. Gracious viewers, it was a pleasure having you today on Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living. Coming up next is Between Master and Disciples. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. May the abundance of nature bring all beings glowing health and inner peace.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/VEG.